lovelies, hello families, and welcome to to my channel. I wanted to do something a little bit differently. I found this interesting article in Psychology Today. The article was written by Billy Jordan, PhD, and it's called "The Silent Genocide in Black America." I wanted to, do something a little different. I found this. The author of this particular article, he is specialized in neurobiology, and his area of specialty is in I believe it's in neurobiology and stress. And he written this article, and it was done back in 2014. It was published January 2014. But a lot of the things that was going on back then, which is only 4 or 5 years ago, is still happening today. And the subheading of this article is called "Race-Based Stress and Negative Health Outcomes in U.S. Aborigines." So I wanted to talk about this because I found that this is something that's definitely needed to be discussed about our health and how we're taking care of ourselves, and understanding the bigger picture of what's taking place here in the Americas and also globally. But let's continue on. Let's start this article. It says here 49% of American Aborigine men and 46% of Aboriginal women have some form of heart disease in the U.S. Once medicine mistakenly attributed to this sub-Saharan genetic predisposition for hypertension. However, a World Health Organization study compared blood pressure in melanated people from sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, and the U.S. The study found that following gradient from the lowest to the highest, African, Caribbean, and American, a racial admixture studying blood pressure by Harvard geneticists, which studied over 1,000 subjects, found no connection between sub-Saharan African ancestry and hypertension, which I found quite interesting. They said that the Africans had the lowest blood pressure issues, and the Americans, Aboriginals, had the highest. And me personally, I can understand that. I see, I believe a lot of the problems that we have is with our foods. Me personally, I believe what we eat and what we put into our body is a major contributing factor, because I just noticed that, I think here in the Americas, a lot of food is not healthy for us. We eat a lot of junk food. We tend to not eat, prepare our own foods, because a lot of the foods in the fast foods, oftentimes much cheaper and more affordable than the foods that are much healthier, that is not filled with preservatives and everything. Also, the foods that you get at the farmer's market, the fresher foods, the foods that doesn't have GMOs, those are very expensive, and a lot of the foods that are prepared in the restaurants are prepared much quicker and faster and everything, but they're not healthy. But I want to mention 2 YouTubers that I saw on YouTube, and they touched on this particular subject about our health and everything, as Indigenous Aborigines and the AKA African Americans. Like Lisa Cabrera and Black Redirection TV, which used to be called Black Education TV is now called Redirection. Those 2 YouTubers touched on this subject matter, and I sort of want to expand upon it because I thought it was quite interesting what they were talking about. Lisa Cabrera was talking about how a lot of the farmers are losing their lands here in the Americas, and it's quite sad that they are, because I believe it's because of globalization. There's more competition in the market, and also it's because pretty much a lot of the food processing plants and the preparation of foods is being owned by rich elites, and it's monopolized. And that's a big, huge monopoly. It's here in the United States already, and it's spreading globally. Where it's only a select few that's growing or harvesting food, and they want to hoard the market, but they want to poison the food to the people, to the population. So that is the biggest issue. So yeah, that is the biggest issue with the food issue. And when you have foods that is not natural, and it's not healthy, and it's filled with GMOs and artificial preservatives and sweeteners, it can put wear and tear in the body. And also, I believe it's Redirection. They talked about how a lot of the foods, the meats and stuff that we eat is being the animals get slaughtered here in the U.S., but it's also getting sent overseas to China to be processed and then sent back. And see, by the time you get your food, it's old and stale. And then not only that, they put on these fake preservatives. And China does not have as stronger regulations about how to prepare your food as it is in the United States. And I believe a lot of these companies that's holding monopolies are trying to say, pour more money for themselves instead of being concerned about the health of the consumers. They are more concerned about how to save money and pocket more money at a cheaper cost, but at the expense of people's lives. And these foods are filled with chemicals and everything, and they found a back door to these laws by sending it to China. And I feel like if they're going to send it back in, the FDA should be allowed to inspect those foods that's coming back in, and if it's not, then hey, these companies should be penalized and the food should be discarded. And plus it cuts away on jobs and jobs opportunities here in the Americas when you send it overseas to be processed in China, when we're fully capable of processing our own food. It's something to think about. And I believe there's a bigger scale, a bigger things that are taking place that we need to look at. It's not just here in the United States, it's global, and it has a big impact on us, a huge impact on us. And I think with us not having the wealth, the people at the bottom tend to have to eat, foods that are not as healthy as those with the money and the rich elite who can afford fresher foods and foods that are freshly grown and healthier and made that's more natural. And whereas the foods that's being processed and filled with toxic food, that's not real food, is being sold to the poor. And I think that has a huge effect on the American Aborigines here in the U.S. And yeah, but let's continue on this article. It says here, medicines often see these diets as the source of American Aborigines' negative health outcomes. Of course, a healthy diet is germane to cardiac health, but Southern diet and the Black diet and the American Aboriginal diet are the same. Therefore, if diets are the sole source of Bronze America's cardiac woes, Southern Greys will experience the same rate of heart disease as melanated people, yet they do not. Stress acts first and foremost in the cardiovascular system. Hence, it is reasonable to suspect the pathophysiology of race-based stress as an antecedent to the elevated heart disease in American Aboriginal America. Among American Aborigines. This becomes extremely reasonable when you consider that more than 3 times as many college-age bronze men are in jail than in college, and the life expectancy for bronze men is 7 years lower than those for other groups. Add the collapsing Aboriginal family and community structure, it becomes easy to see inherent source of stress in melanated America. And some of this is true, but I I guess I'm taking more of a positive stance. I know he's right in the middle of the forefront. He probably sees all of this, but to a certain extent. But I also think things are shifting. I really do. I try to stay positive. Things are starting to shift because I believe too. I do. I can see how the foods, because we're at the American Aborigines don't hold the wealth as gray Caucasians. So gray Caucasians are able to afford to buy healthier foods and get access to healthier foods, whereas we as indigenous people don't. And that's why I say it's important that one solution is that we start having our own lands to produce our own foods. If you produce and grow your own food, then you can remain healthy. And since the Grays holds all the, most of the lands and can grow and harvest their own food, of course they don't have access to better food choices here in the Americas, and also they hoard the resources. And we all know what they're doing with the mass incarcerations of our Aboriginal men. That was set up by design by the Gray laws that they produce, provided, developed, and is done to keep slavery alive. And that's the sole purpose of it, is to keep slavery alive, to keep the economy going for Grays. And that's a big problem here in the United States. And also, not going to college and life expectancy. I think that's shifting because now there has been a recent phenomenon that is taking place where Grays are having a drug problem in the drug plate, and they suffering from death by despair, and they're having issues a lot. So their life expectancy is not as high as it normally was. It's going down, and I believe it's starting to catch up with the Aboriginal people too. And their birth rate is low too, so it's not producing as many Grays as they normally do in the past. And so there's a shift, like I said. And I find it strange with the blue moon thing starting to change. And you can see in the stars in the universe that it's time. It's definitely time. And the time is up. And so when his author wrote this, yes, it was looking that way, very bleak, but I think things are starting to shift. And that's why a lot of them are acting crazy right now, because they know that their time is up, and they acting crazy and acting like a toddler with a temper tantrum, just like the president that's in office right now, because they know that their time is up and their rule is coming to an end. Their power is failing, and it's long overdue, and it's time. But here it is. It says, watching the American reactions to our president is very telling. At the end of the spectrum, you have bronze and grays that detest Obama because he does not have gray skin. On the other, you have bronze and grays that love him for the same reason, despite of loving the president. The reason, besides politics, is curious. I suspect the reason this occurs is threefold: simian fears of darkness, symbolic interaction, and pigmentocracy. Well, looking at this, I would have agreed with this author years ago about Obama, but my whole perception about Obama has changed because there's some things I felt like he did not do to help us as American Aborigines. But there's some things that he has done that he has not done to help our community out as a president. And I know some things his hands were tied, but there are some things he probably could have done a lot better. And in the earlier paragraph, I was talking about Trump, the current president. There has been a shift in what things are happening to the Grays here in Americas, and things are changing. I think you don't have as many American Aborigines on drugs, and our birth rate is still, it hasn't dropped. But even though all the negative things they have done to us to try to kill us, genocide this our population. We're still growing as a population, which is a good thing. But Obama, this particular paragraph, I feel like Obama has failed all of us as a people, and he could have done more. And when I think about his origins, he's not a true American Aborigine. His father is from Africa and his mother's are gray, so he's not really related to us in indigenous ways, and I think that has a lot to do with how he believed and perceived things. That's why he didn't have no incentive to try to do anything to help us, even though he has a wife that is a true Aborigine here in the Americas. But his action shows that where his interest lies, and he just did the bare minimum, I felt, as a president. But I could see what y'all can put what you think, but I just felt like he felt the American Aboriginal community. He got most of our votes, but did so very little to help us. When I felt like he could have done a lot more and done better by us as a group of people. And it's a lot of us that has the same hue, but don't when they get in there, they don't do very much. I don't know if it's because the hands are tied or if it's because they've been paid off, But it says here, during the Polynesian approached 5.332 million to 1.806 million years ago, our simian ancestors evolved from being insect eaters to fruit eaters. In our defense, insects were meatier back then. Going from the insectivores to the frugivores caused the select sweep of retina express alleles that results in color vision. Unfortunately, trichromatic vision comes at the expense of low light vision. This was problematic because our evolutionary ancestors, primarily predators such as hyenas and jackals, are colorblind nocturnal carnivores that possess excellent light vision. Hence, the fear of apprehension of darkness became a simian-wide survival instinct. The mammal brain consolidates and simplifies information was possible. And then, so for example, fight or flight instinct is consolidation and simplified by millions of lessons during the encounter of danger. Neuroevolutionists theorize the need to fear and mistrust darkness in tandem with the brain needs to consolidate and simplify information is why dark and black become synonymous with bad and evil. Okay, that's an interesting viewpoint, but everything I just sort of disagree with him. I think in a way to fear darkness and mistrust darkness, in a way I disagree with this because I feel like race has become a social construct. It's not scientifically supported through science, and is based on this racial system. It's been based on pure speculation and opinion of one particular person or group of people. So I just don't agree with this. And I think too, everything has been told to us in reverse, but such as the foods we eat. Brown rice is more healthier than white rice. Wheat bread, which is brown, is better than white bread. So brown is not terrible at all. And brown foods, some of the brown foods that we're supposed to eat that, that's been dyed with bleach has been proven to be unhealthy. So I have to sort of disagree with this article, this particular author on that. I see what he's talking about, but this is sort of, I have to disagree with him. I think brown is healthier. And a lot of times we eat bleached out foods that's not healthy, such as rice and breads. And that is a problem when it comes to sugar diabetes. I know, and him going off on predators such as hyenas and jackals. I said, well, I think too is we not eating, we're trying to be carnivores like gray Caucasians, and when here our ancestors weren't eating nearly as much meat as we are eating today. And maybe it's a problem. That's a problem with the health issues that we have here with hypertension. We need to be eating more fruits and vegetables and scaling back on the meats, because it's obvious that it's not, we have small canines. Just think about it. Our canines in our mouth are very small compared to other animals who are carnivores who eat meat because they were built and made to eat meat. We are not built to eat that. They say we're omnivores, but I think we're more vegetarians than they're omnivores because we have smaller canines. And I think it was intended for us to eat more fruits and vegetables. And that's what we need to go back to be more healthier. And also the fact that we need to be growing more of our fruits and vegetables so we can eat right and live right and be healthy and more fruitful. But let's scroll down. This is a long article, a little long article. I'm not even sure if I'm going to be able to read all this. I may make this just be part one because I wasn't intending to make this a very long video. I may go ahead and do a number two. But yeah, I would love to see what you all think about this video. I think I'm getting a little long-winded on it. I wasn't planning on making this an extremely long video. I would like to see if you all think, I'm going to put a link to this article so y'all can check it out. Do you think that what we eating is causing us to have health issues? Do you think it's linked to us having hypertension, health issues such as hypertension and diabetes? Do you think it's the food? Do you think it's the stress that we're dealing with here in Americas with racism? Me personally, I think it's a combination of both. I believe that the social issues that we are facing here and during this time period is a factor to our stress. And that's why it's important that we learn how to better handle our stress and learn how to identify that we are having stress. We tend to internalize a lot of our feelings and emotions, and we don't learn how to handle and cope stress factors such as discrimination and racism that we face every day just because of a hue of our complexion or our skin. And I also think too, the economics have a big factor too as well, because of a lot of us have lower income and less access to resources as the Greys do, and so that has a major contributing factor as to why we are not eating as healthy as we should, because a lot of us don't have access to the more healthier food, and that's why we got to learn how to grow and prepare our own foods, get in the habit of buying our own food, getting healthier foods to prepare for ourselves. And if you have land, learn how to grow and harvest your own food so that you can know what's in it and have more control of what you intaking into your body, so you can be much healthier and can live longer. So, but I would love to see what you think about this particular article. What are your views on this? I might do a number two to this particular topic. But till next time, family, peace and love and peace. Bye-bye.